Good evening, Pennsylvania. It is great to be with you all. Bless you for being out here tonight. Bless you for supporting. Bless you for supporting Donald J. Trump as he becomes the 47th President of the United States of America. You know, these last 3.5 years have been hard for me to watch. I know it's true for you too. We watched them break so much that had been done. And I often get asked, Mike, what was it like? Right, the Washington Post described me as the most loyal cabinet member to Donald J. Trump. I had to remind the president that they did not mean that as a compliment. They asked me, what was it like to serve for President Trump? And I told them, and I've told everyone hundreds of times in these 3.5 years, it was the greatest privilege that Mike Pompeo could ever have. It was a privilege because we had peace. You had prosperity. They didn't fly Chinese spy balloons over the United States of America. Indeed, had they done so, I would have been the former Secretary of State, and rightly so. We understood that peace mattered, that wars were bad, and that our servicemen and women deserved leaders who our adversaries feared and our friends trusted. And it kept you safe. It kept me and my family safe. It made America first again. I was proud to be a part of President Trump's team. I talked to him every day for 4 years, first as CIA director and then as Secretary of State. And what I was so proud of is that we understood the greatness of this nation, and we never once apologized for the United States of America, not once. Now, President Trump's going to secure our southern border. We will bring peace back to the world. We will take down the Ring of Fire. We will support our friends in Israel, but he's going to need help to do that. President Trump will need help to do that. And you in Pennsylvania have the chance to send that help. I've known Dave McCormick for 40 years, since we were cadets at West Point when I was a much younger man. And when I think of Dave McCormick, who will be the next senator from Pennsylvania, when I think of Dave McCormick, I think about what our founders believed, the men and women who shaped our Constitution and who believed so deeply in American greatness. They were thinking about people just like Dave. They were thinking about people who selflessly served in our military. They were thinking about people who had run businesses and taken risks and grown our economy and created thousands of jobs all across our nation. They were thinking about people with real character and who knew who they were and who, unlike Bob Casey, would actually do something that mattered to you and to your family. Dave will do that, I promise you. Dave is a warrior. He has been a warrior. And as Pennsylvania's next senator, he will be a warrior for you and on behalf of President Trump. And America will be great again. May I welcome to the stage your next senator and my dear friend, Dave McCormick.
Man, I am so glad to see you here in my hometown of Pittsburgh. You know, Mike and I went to West Point. You know, we had a lot in common. He was first in his class, and I was 501st. I want to ask you a question before we get started. Who's ready to put Donald J. Trump back in the White House and fire Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Get these guys out of here. They're killing us. And who is ready to retire Bob Casey and send Chuck Schumer packing? We got to do it. We got to do it. You know, ever since I can remember, I've had politicians come and say, this is the most important election of your lifetime. Who's heard that? We've all heard it so many times. But I want to tell you, this is the most important election of your lifetime. Just think about it. Can you think of a time where the consequences of getting it wrong were so terrible. Can you think of a time where America was teetering on the edge of the cliff, and if we put the wrong leaders in place, we're going to go over the cliff, and we're going to wake up one morning, and we're not going to recognize the America we love, the America we want for our children? This is the most important election of our lifetime. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. And you know, the choice in front of us could not be more clear. It couldn't be more clear. The choice at the top of the ticket is between strength, the guy you saw in Butler saying, fight, 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 and the weakness, the disgraceful weakness of Biden, Harris, and I'll throw in Bob Casey. Adversaries around the world are testing us. They're challenging us. They think America's weak because of the people that are leading America now. We need a change. But it's not just leadership. It's common sense. President Trump will do common sense things. It's common sense that you can't spend $5 trillion and not get huge inflation, skyrocketing prices that are killing working families. It's common sense you can't have a wide open border that's letting millions of illegal immigrants come into our country free. Criminals, murderers, rapists, people on the terrorist watch list, people carrying fentanyl. That's common sense. It's common sense that if you have the fourth largest natural gas reserves in the world right here under our feet in Pennsylvania, you got to drill it, you got to frack it, you got to put it in pipelines, and you got to share it with the world. And it's common sense that if you want peace, if you don't want the bullies on the playground pushing us around, you got to be strong. And the only way to have peace is strength. That's common sense. And in Kamala Harris, you have the weak, liberal, extreme agenda. Don't believe me, in her own words. In her own words, she wants to ban fracking and transition energy workers. In her own words, she wants to give citizenships to illegal immigrants and make sure they get federal benefits. In her own words, she wants mandatory buybacks of your guns. In her own words, she wants to defund the police. And in her own words, and this is the one that really ticks off my friends from Bloomsburg, where I grew up, she wants to reduce your red meat consumption. Come on. That's not going to fly in Pennsylvania, right? But listen, President Trump can't do it alone. We need a majority in the Senate. We need a strong leader in the Senate on behalf of Pennsylvania that's going to fight for you and put these common sense policies in place. And here you have another choice. It's a choice between change and the status quo. It's a choice between a seventh-generation Pennsylvanian, was born in Washington County, someone who played football and wrestled, in the summers baled hay, trimmed Christmas trees, busboy, paperboy, went to West Point where I wrestled, Ranger School, 82nd Airborne Division, combat tour in Iraq, and a successful business guy. That's what I represent. I represent change. And I'm running against a career politician, 30 years in elected office. When he was first elected, the Macarena was the #1 song on the charts. He has not done anything. When the bullets start flying, he ducks. And he votes 98.6% of the time with the liberal, extreme Biden-Harris agenda. And you know what really ticks me off? Someone said to me the other day, they said, "Are you running for the Casey seat?" I said, "Hell no, I'm not running for the Casey seat. He's not entitled to this seat because his dad was the governor. He's not entitled because he's been there 18 years. He has to fight every day to represent Pennsylvania. He has to fight every election to have the honor to represent Pennsylvania. This isn't Casey's seat. This is the people's seat. And the people of our great Commonwealth deserve better than Bob Casey. And so that's why this election is so important. That's why what we do in the next 24 hours is so important. Right? I wrestled in college. I wasn't the best wrestler, but I always knew if I could get into the third period within a point or two, I'd win. Because the third period in wrestling, and we're in the third period right now, a couple seconds ago, the third period's not about wrestling. It's about mental toughness. It's about heart. It's about fighting for the last second until the buzzer goes. We need to do that. We need you in the next 24 hours, not just to vote. We need more than voting. We need you to tell 10 friends and 10 friends and 10 more friends. We need you to put up signs. We need you to say lots of prayers. We need you to do everything we can to take back our country. And if we do that, and if you do that, on November 6th, you're going to wake up, and you're going to look back on the day before, and you're going to say, on that day, that is the day that we put new leadership in place, that we changed the direction of our country, that we protected America for our children. Thank you. God bless you. Let's go make Pennsylvania great again. Thank you.
Who is ready to see Donald Trump be back in the White House after tomorrow night? What an amazing honor to be on this stage with America's favorite president. You know, when President Trump asked me to be the White House press secretary, I was the very first mom to ever hold that job and only the third woman. And when the left was relentlessly attacking me, kicking my family out of a restaurant, telling me I was unfit to be a mother, calling me vile, not even human, it was Donald Trump who stood up for me, defended me, and that's exactly what he does for every single one of us every single day. The left loves to talk about empowering women, but they can't even tell you what a woman is. But Donald Trump is not only empowering women, he is empowering every single American to live their best life and do it right here in the greatest country on the face of the planet. He cares about our country. He loves America. This is somebody who took a bullet, got back up, and has never stopped fighting and never will. I think God saved Donald Trump because he's not finished with him yet, and America needs him now more than ever. During the 2.5 years that I served as the White House press secretary, I traveled with the president all over the world. No trip more memorable than December 25th of 2018, when I had the chance to travel on Christmas night with the president on a trip unlike anything we'd ever done before. We boarded Air Force One in total darkness, no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. And 12.5 hours later, when we touched down in the war-torn part of Western Iraq, it was again a similar scene. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The only light you could see was coming from about a mile away of where we had landed. You see, there was light coming from that location because hundreds of troops had packed into a small dining hall. They had absolutely no idea that the President of the United States was about to step into that room. And when he did, a sight and a scene and a sound unlike any other unfolded. You had men and women from every part of the country, every race, every religion, every political party, every demographic you can imagine represented in that room. But in that moment, in one perfect voice in total unity, they chanted over and over and over again, USA, USA, USA. It was an absolutely perfect picture of what makes America so incredible. You have people willing to put everything on the line so that we could live free in the greatest country the world has ever seen. And we have a president that understands it and is willing to fight to protect it. The reason America is the greatest country the world has ever known is because we're the freest country that the world has ever known. And we need a president who will stand up for that and make sure we have the ability to protect that freedom, preserve that freedom, and pass it on to the next generation. And that is exactly what Donald Trump will do every single day. But he needs your help to get there. We have to send a strong, clear message. And you can do that by voting for Donald Trump and sending him back to the White House, and that has to happen right here. America needs Donald Trump in the White House, and no pressure, but we're counting on you to send him there. Thank you so much for being here tonight. God bless you, and God bless our great country. Thank you.
Here we are, the night before the most important election of our lives. There's no place else I'd rather be than here with you, standing proud to support the President of the United States, who is fighting for the people, who is fighting for peace, and who has in his heart putting America first. You know, the most important quality that I look for in any elected leader, but especially the President of the United States, is someone who wakes up every single day asking himself, what can I do for the American people? I just spent the first half of the day before I came here in Western North Carolina, and we went through different areas in Asheville and the surrounding communities where people are still suffering and struggling in the wake of Hurricane Helene. And I was moved almost to tears many times as people shared with me their stories of loss, the funerals that they are going to for their loved ones who were killed in that disaster. There was a firefighter that gave me this bracelet with tears in his eyes in memory of his battalion chief, Tony Garrison, whose end of watch was on September 27, 2024, because he went out to save someone's life and brought them back. He heard that there was someone else who needed help, went out, rescued them, and brought them back. They said, my parents are still out there, please go and help them. He went out to find them and never came back. On the bottom of this black bracelet, it says, greater love has no one than this, that a person will lay down his life for his friends. We have a president in Donald Trump who's willing to lay down his life for us. It meant the world to the people in Western North Carolina that he showed up there for them. It meant the world to people in different parts of the country like East Palestine, Ohio, when he showed up for them. That's the difference between President Trump and Kamala Harris. Anyone who has spent a moment with President Trump understands how much he cares about the people, how much he cares about us. I can tell you as a soldier, someone who's been deployed multiple times to different war zones, someone who proudly wears the uniform, he cares about our men and women in uniform. He is committed to ending wars, not starting them. He is committed to truly bringing about peace and having the courage and the strength to stand up against the warmongers in Washington. Our choice in this election and the victory we need to deliver for President Trump tomorrow is the choice between Kamala Harris and 4 more years of tyranny, poverty, and war, and more war, or in President Trump, someone who will stand up and defend our freedom and put us back on that path towards peace and prosperity. Let's deliver that victory for Donald Trump tomorrow. Send him back to the White House where we can all join him to make America great again. Thank you all so much for your love of our country. Thank you for defending freedom. Let's make it happen.